What is the firstfruits principle, and is it truly trustworthy? Imagine starting your day by giving the very first part of your income or harvest to God. It might seem simple, but this act carries deep spiritual meaning and practical benefits. The firstfruits principle is a biblical idea that encourages believers to give the first and best portion of what they receive back to God. It comes from the Old Testament, where farmers were commanded to offer the earliest part of their crops or livestock to God as an act of worship. This was not just about giving. It was about trusting that God would provide the rest of the harvest. The firstfruits offering was a formal ceremony where the first sheaf of grain was brought to the priest before harvesting the rest. It was a declaration of faith that God's provision would continue. The act was sacred, and no crops could be harvested until the firstfruits were offered. It was a way for the Israelites to show gratitude and trust in God's ongoing care. The Hebrew word for firstfruits, bikurim, means promise to come, highlighting that giving the first part is an investment in future blessings. In the New Testament, the idea is used symbolically to describe believers as the first part of God's spiritual harvest. While Christians are not bound to bring literal firstfruits offerings, the principle of giving God the first and best remains relevant. It teaches us to prioritize God in our finances and lives, not giving from leftovers but from the start. When you set aside a portion of your income at the beginning of the month or pay period, you're practicing the firstfruits principle. This act shows trust that God will continue to provide and helps you manage money with intention. It also encourages a heart of gratitude and generosity, aligning your financial habits with biblical teachings. Is the firstfruits principle trustworthy? Absolutely. It reminds us that God is the ultimate source of all blessings and that we are called to be good stewards of what we have. Giving the first part of our income demonstrates trust in God's provision and helps develop a mindset of dependence on Him rather than on our own resources. It sets a priority that God deserves the first and best, not what remains after expenses. Practicing this principle can strengthen faith and deepen your relationship with God. It also promotes cheerful giving, which is a core biblical value. Today, applying the firstfruits principle means choosing to give the first portion of your income or blessings before covering other expenses. Whether it's your first paycheck, business profit, or a designated amount, giving first helps you stay aligned with your faith and manage money intentionally. It encourages a lifestyle of trust and gratitude, knowing that God is the provider of all good things. In summary, the firstfruits principle is a biblical way to honor God with your resources. It is trustworthy because it is rooted in Scripture and teaches us to give with faith, priority, and gratitude. When practiced consistently, it can transform your approach to stewardship and generosity, making your financial life a reflection of your trust in God's provision.